This is the banded wrist distraction. So a big reason why you'd use this stretch is, or this distraction, is because if you are someone who feels like you have very stiff wrists, but no matter how much stretching you do for the wrist, extension, flexion, doesn't matter, you just can't really get a stretching stimulus, right? It doesn't really feel like your muscles are stretching, but the range of motion just like stops, or it just feels like something's blocked. That is when you would use this. And biggest reason why, just a short explanation, is that we have what's called articular space in our wrists. What that means is that we have our forearm muscles, and then we have our forearm bones, and then our wrist bones, and then in between those bones is where they meet, of course, and that's articular space. And if that space is really limited, then it can definitely cause blockages and make it really hard to do any type of stretching or flexibility exercises, because that space is what's limiting us, right? And once we open up that space, then it's gonna be a lot easier to feel the stretches and actually get a benefit from the stretches. So what this looks like is you're gonna have a band attached to the rig, and the band should be pretty firm, right? It should be a pretty heavy duty band. It shouldn't be like a super light band, because we're trying to use the band's resistance to really pull on the wrist, so it creates some separation between where those two bones meet up. So how this looks is you're going to put your wrist through the band like this, okay? And then from here, what I'm gonna do, you gotta stay with me here because this might get kind of confusing, is I'm gonna take the other hand, I'm gonna bring the band around, right? So now I have another loop where my hand can go through, and I'm basically, it's the easiest way to think about this is I'm gonna swoop my hand through again, and then bring it up and around again, and then grab onto the band. Okay, so you're basically just double wrapping it. And then make sure, again, that the band is nice and firm and you're actually holding on to the band. And you can sit any way you want, it doesn't really matter. Just as long as you can scoot out far enough and the band isn't pulling you in. If the band is pulling you in, you most likely have too heavy of a band. But just making sure that you're getting a good pull through that wrist joint, and you're basically trying to relax the wrist joint, right? I know it sounds weird, but you're just relaxing the wrist joint as you let the band pull on the arm, okay? And you're sitting here for about 30 to 45 seconds, and then from there, I would give it a little bit of blood, or let the blood kind of flow back in. Switch sides, do it for about 30, 45 seconds, and then switch sides again, and do that for one more round, right? So 2 sets of 30 to 45 seconds per side. And then from there, if you'd like, you can start doing stretches afterwards, and you should notice a really big difference. So that is the banded wrist distraction.